started as a random decision. One of those nights where you don't really plan anything. You just go. Me, my best friend, and my girlfriend decided to go camping by a creek not far from where I lived. We grabbed some beer, a couple blankets, and headed out in my old van. It was late October, about a week before Halloween, so it got dark fast. By the time we got there, it was already cold. We used flashlights to gather wood, got a fire going, and after a while, things felt normal, relaxed. We were sitting around the fire, drinking, listening to music, just having a good time. A few hours went by, like nothing. At some point, my girlfriend went to the van to sleep. I don't even know how she managed it, because it was freezing away from the fire. Not long after that, my friend's girlfriend showed up. She had just gotten off work, brought more drinks, even though we didn't need them, but almost immediately, they started arguing. It got heated, and eventually, she left. We watched her taillights disappear down the road, and that's when everything changed. The place we were at wasn't completely isolated. There were a few farmhouses in the distance, but it was far enough out, and cold enough that no one should have been out there. My friend turned the music up, trying to shake off the mood, and then we heard it. A woman's voice. From across the creek, loud, desperate. "Help me!" It wasn't normal. It didn't sound right. There was something off about it. I looked at my friend, and he looked just as shaken as I felt. He immediately turned the music down. "Did you hear that?" he said. We grabbed our flashlight and shined them across the water. Nothing, just darkness. He pulled out his phone and called his girlfriend. To make sure she hadn't broken down nearby, she answered. She was already home. That should have been a relief. But it wasn't, because if it wasn't her, then who was it? We stood there, frozen. Lights pointed across the creek. Listening. Waiting. Nothing. No movement, no sound, no footsteps, no branches breaking, just silence. Then suddenly, again. "Help me!" This time louder, closer. It sounded like it was coming from directly across the creek. Maybe 100 yards away, we swung our lights toward the sound. Still nothing. No one there. We started shouting back. "Hello? Where are you?" Nothing answered us. And that's what made it worse. Because if someone was really out there, there would have been more noise, movement, something. But there was nothing. At that point, whatever calm we had left was gone. We started grabbing our stuff. I ran to the van, woke my girlfriend up, told her to start it. We were leaving immediately. She didn't argue. She just did it. And that's when it happened. The thing that I still can't explain. As we were heading back toward the van, we heard it again. "Help me!" But this time, it wasn't across the creek. It came from behind us, from the direction of the van. Close. Way too close. We froze for half a second, then ran. We didn't grab anything else. Left the drinks, left the radio, didn't care. We got in the van and took off. I drove faster than I should have, on a dirt road, barely keeping control. We didn't say much the whole way back. That night, whatever it was, it scared us enough to leave everything behind, and to this day, I still don't know what we heard. But I know one thing. It wasn't something I ever want to hear again. I'm not someone who makes things up, so this story isn't some over-the-top horror moment, but it's real, and it still stuck with me. I was on a hunting and camping trip with my uncle. We were staying at a small campground out in the coastal mountains. We got there in the evening. There was still just enough light to set everything up, and almost immediately, I noticed something. We were the only campers there, at least that's what it looked like at first. But off to the side, there was another campsite, completely trashed. Stuff scattered everywhere, and parked next to it was a green minivan. It didn't look like anyone was actively staying there, but I remember seeing movement inside. Just small glimpses, like someone was in there watching. Later that night, after we got our fire going, I could see they had one too. That's when I figured it was probably a couple of people living out of the van, maybe homeless. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time. Eventually, we called it a night. My uncle went into his camper, and I went to sleep in the back of the car. Seats folded down, sleeping bag, same setup I always used. His dog was in the car with me too. The whole campsite was pitch black, and the ground was covered in gravel, the kind that makes noise no matter how careful you are walking. At some point during the night, I woke up. The dog was barking, loud, non-stop, and that's when I heard it. Footsteps, walking around the car, slow, crunching on the gravel. Every few seconds, they would stop, then start again, circling. I stayed completely still, listening, trying to figure out what was happening. Then I saw it. A flashlight shining through the windows, moving slowly, like someone was looking inside. My heart was pounding. I pulled the sleeping bag up over me, trying not to move, trying not to make a sound. The dog kept barking, but whoever was outside didn't say anything, didn't try to open the door. They just kept walking around, looking. Eventually, it stopped. The footsteps faded, and everything went quiet again. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I just laid there, waiting for morning. I know it wasn't my uncle. The dog wouldn't have reacted like that, and he would have just come inside if he needed something. Nothing was taken, nothing was broken, but something about it never sat right with me. Just the idea that someone was walking around our campsite in the middle of the night, looking into the car while I was inside, and I had no idea what they were planning to do. This happened back in 1998, during a canoe camping trip with my family. We were deep in northern Maine, about as far into the wilderness as you can go. The kind of place where there's nothing around for miles, no roads, no people, just water and trees. The trip was something we had done before. We'd get dropped off at a bridge, follow a stream for a couple of days, and eventually end up at a river where we'd get picked up. On the second day, right around dusk, we set up camp on a small island in the stream. The water was low, and the area was too rocky to canoe through. So we had to stop there anyway. We got a fire going. My parents started cooking dinner, and everything felt normal. My sister and I were just messing around, throwing rocks into the water. Then, suddenly, my mom called us over. Her voice wasn't normal. There was panic in it. We turned and immediately saw why. My dad was standing there, talking to someone. A man, just a few feet from our camp. None of us had seen him approach. He was short, maybe 5'3", pale skin, a thick, wild beard, and his clothes didn't look normal. They looked like they were made from rough fabric, almost like burlap. He had a strange backpack, made out of sticks and cloth, with animal furs rolled up on top, and he was holding what looked like an old musket, like he was using it as a walking stick. He looked just as shocked to see us as we were to see him. He started talking, but we couldn't understand him. It sounded like French, but not quite. My mom tried speaking to him, asked if he was from Canada, from Quebec, but he didn't understand her either. He just kept pointing at us, then behind himself, repeating something over and over again. We couldn't figure out what he wanted. He seemed fascinated by our camp, our tents, our gear, even my dad's jacket, like he had never seen anything like it before. At that point, my dad was getting uncomfortable. He motioned for the man to leave. My mom did the same, trying to tell him to go, even in French. Eventually, he seemed to understand. He turned and walked off the island, through the shallow water, and onto the other side. And then, he was gone. Just like that. The moment he reached the trees, he disappeared, and all of us saw it. We stood there, completely silent, trying to process what just happened. My mom immediately wanted to leave, pack everything up, and go. But my dad convinced her to stay. Moving through that terrain in the dark wasn't safe, so he stayed up all night. Keeping watch, none of us slept well. We kept talking about it, trying to make sense of it. Then my sister said something that made it even worse. She said he didn't have shoes on, just leather wrapped around his feet. We never saw him again, but that was the last time we ever took that trip. And to this day, we still don't know who or what we ran into out there. I'm 31 now, but this is the first time I ever saw something I couldn't explain. I was 6 years old. My parents had taken me and my sister camping. On the second night, I woke up. I needed to use the bathroom. I tried waking my parents, my sister too, but no one would wake up, so I decided to go by myself. I wasn't afraid of the dark back then, and the moon was full, bright enough that I could see everything clearly. The trail to the bathrooms was easy to follow. Quiet, peaceful. I remember hearing an owl, and at one point, I noticed a fox walking behind me. Not too close, just watching. Curious. I didn't think much of it. I made it to the bathroom, did what I needed to do, and started walking back. That's when I saw her. A woman, standing on the trail. She was wearing white, and my first thought was it was my mom. She had a long white shirt she would sleep in on trips like this, so I panicked a little. I thought I was about to get in trouble, so I hid behind a tree. I waited, expecting her to walk past me, but I didn't hear anything, no footsteps, nothing. So I leaned out just to see where she went, and what I saw didn't make sense. It wasn't my mom. The woman was floating, just above the ground, moving slowly along the trail. She was wearing an old-fashioned dress, something you wouldn't normally see, and she had a bonnet on. Her whole body was pale, almost glowing, but her eyes were bright blue. She drifted down the path, turned, and then just disappeared, right in front of me. I didn't wait. I ran, all the way back to the tent, got inside, and laid down. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. Years later, when I was around 10, we went back to that same campground, and I walked down that same trail, the one she had taken. At the end of it, there was a chimney, and an old fireplace with one of those information signs. It said that a family used to live there, back in the early 1800s, and that the mother had died in a fire when the house burned down. I never told my parents what I saw that night, but I've never forgotten it, because whatever I saw wasn't alive.